better, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's that look. Gotten up, the dog had to go there and give him his walk this morning. So that's what that's all about. Everybody's looking great. So good to see everybody. Looking across the thing, I see Reverend Talbot. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Williams, Miss Williams, Madam.
How are you?
Dr. Davis. No, Miss
Good.
Allen.
Okay, good morning. Good morning to all. Thank you all for joining the meeting in a timely manner. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I think all of the board members are in Mr. Bartholomew, I'm told, this time, but we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to call the meeting to order. For those persons who are viewing the meeting via the YouTube channel and you wish to submit a question via the comment form, you can do so by visiting sus.edu. sus.edu, and the comment form is on the home page. For those of you who wish to submit a question verbally, you can do so by dialing area code 225-771-4364. Again, that number is 225-771-4364. We'll now recognize Dr. Talbot for the invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to acknowledge that it is in you that we live, we move, and have our being. We come to thank you this morning that we're able to see each other and to prepare to conduct business for the Southern University system. As we come this morning, we acknowledge the fact that we're in the midst of this pandemic, but that you have always been in charge and that you are still in charge. We pray, oh God, that you would help us to depend upon you to navigate us through this time. We pray in the name of Jesus for our families, for our friends, and all the people who have been affected by this virus. We lift up those families that have lost loved ones, other families who are there waiting on news from their loved ones. We pray for doctors and nurses and other medical professionals who are putting their lives at risk to save lives. Bless them and their families as they do their work. And now, God, we lift up the faculty, staff, the administration, the student body, the Board of Supervisors to you of the Southern University system, that you would hold us together, provide for us the resources we need to do work in this time. Help us to have the wisdom we need to prepare for the new normal that we will confront when this virus begins to subside. Bless, oh God, we pray, all of our efforts, our governor, our state, and all of our elected officials, our president of these United States. We lift him in prayer, the Congress, and everybody. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Talbot, for a very strong prayer, and we certainly join our prayers to yours. We now have a roll call. Dr. Belton.
Yes, good morning. Yes. Attorney Rutledge.
Here.
Reverend Talbot. Mr. Bartholomew. Wait. Dr. Davis.
Can they hear? Is this mic on?
Dr. Davis. Present. Mr. Dunbar.
Here.
Pondell.
Here.
Dr. Gaines.
Here.
Mr. Gilliam.
Here.
Mr. Hilliard.
Here.
Attorney McGee.
Here.
Attorney Shorty.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Present.
Dr. Tarver.
Here.
Dr. Whitfield.
Present.
Ms. Williams.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Bell. Now the chair will entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved
Second.
properly moved by Mr. McGee and I think seconded by Mrs. Smith.
That was Dr. Whitfield on the move.
Whitfield on the move. Thank you. Thank you. Because we were trying to keep the minutes also. So thank you for helping with that. Dr. Belton, roll call.
Attorney Rutledge,
Yes.
Reverend Tolbert, Reverend Tolbert,
Yes.
Ms. Bartholomew, you joined us. Dr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar,
Yes.
Mr. Rondell,
Yes.
Dr.
Here.
Gaines, Mr. Gilliam,
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard,
Yes.
Attorney McGee,
Yeah.
Attorney Shorty,
Yeah.
Mrs. Smith,
Here.
Dr. Carver,
Yes.
Dr. Whitfield,
Present.
Miss Williams.
Yes.
You have a quorum, sir.
Well, no, that was for the adoption of
The
the agenda.
adoption of the agenda. I'm sorry.
Okay, and let me explain this, members, before we go to item 4, public comments. I have 3 lawyers here with whom I consulted because I wanted to be able to carry these motions with a voice vote. And the response that I received and advice that I received is for all of the items, we should do a roll call vote because it ensures that at the time the vote was taken that we had a quorum. And so unfortunately, that's going to sort of extend the meeting a bit, but that's the reason why we will be taking a roll call vote every time we vote. We'll go now to item 4, public comments. I don't have any public comments just yet, but members, I ask for your indulgence to the extent that we do get a public comment or question that we'll facilitate it at the time we get it. We'll go now to our action items, part 1. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of the February 21st, 2020 regular meeting of the Southern University Board of Supervisors.
So moved.
Okay, I think I heard Mr. Gillum, and who was the second?
Davis.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Davis. It's been properly moved by Mr. Gillum and seconded by Dr. Davis that we approve the minutes of the February 21st meeting of our board. Dr. Belton.
Yes.
Yes.
Attorney Rutledge,
Yes.
Reverend Tolbert, Ms. Bartholomew, Dr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar,
Yes.
Mr. Rondell,
Yes.
Dr. Gaines,
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam,
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard,
Yes.
Attorney McGee,
Yes.
Attorney Shorty,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Carver, Dr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Miss Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Dr. Belton. We'll go now to item B. Request to establish the David Raines Endowed First Generation Undergraduate Scholarship Fund in Nursing and Allied Health. Dr. Ellis. Is Dr. Ellis
I am.
on?
I was trying to
Okay.
unmute my phone. So basically, this is a match to a contribution that has been made by David Raines. They have provided a $30,000 scholarship to endow their allied health scholarships at Susler. Susler then matched that with $30,000 from our Title III. And we submitted to Board of Regents for a $40,000 match, which was approved on this past Wednesday. So in essence, this would allow for a $100,000 endowment for the David Raines scholarship moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ellis. Members, are there any questions on item B?
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Gillum. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Dr. Davis. Dr. Belton.
Yes. Attorney Rutledge,
Yes.
Yes.
Reverend Tolbert, Bartholomew, Dr. Davis,
Yes.
Dunbar,
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Bartholomew, see what's
Mr. Fondell,
Yes.
Dr. Gaines,
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam,
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard,
Yes.
Yes.
Attorney Shorty,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Tarver,
His mic is muted.
Yes.
Dr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Belton. We go now to item, we go now to item C. Members, I'm going to ask if we will take items C and E together. That way, while Dr. Sahu speaks to C, he can also speak to E, and then we can dispense of those two items at once, and then we'll come back to D. Is there any objection to that? That'll help us move this along a little bit better. Any objection to that?
No objections, Dr. Whitfield.
Okay, seeing none, Dr. Sahu, will you speak to the request to appoint Dr. Fitzgerald Spencer as Professor Emeritus in the College of Sciences and Engineers, and also speak to item E, a request of approval of a letter of intent to develop an online degree program in hospitality and food industry leadership at SUDR. Dr. Sahu?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, President. Thank you, members of the Board of Supervisors of Southern University. Dr. Spencer is very uniquely qualified based on his service, based on his contribution in the classroom, and also extensive research to be appointed to the post of Professor Emeritus. I think his appointment will allow him to continue some of the research work and provide mentorship to faculty and to the students, and also help him continue to positively contribute to the academic programs and initiatives at Southern University, Baton Rouge. The hospitality and food service leadership program is both an opportunity for us and also will fill a much needed gap in terms of our academic initiative and in terms of the academic programs, the inventory of courses that we are uniquely capable, and also in terms of providing an outreach to an industry where the need for minority leadership is much needed. Louisiana has, restaurants, tourism, food, gaming, all these industries need leadership, and this program will fill that gap. I think it also will, from my past experience, this is an area where the placement is usually 100%. Many of the players in this industry or the corporations in the industry actively recruit to fill their diversity needs. So I think this is an opportunity for us, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, and Board of Supervisors, to do what we, I think, our part to fill that gap. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to address.
Yes, question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, question to Dr. McMeans. Yes, Dr. McMeans, want to congratulate the college for putting forth this proposal. Could you speak to the number of possible students that may enroll? Will you have the faculty and other resources to move forward?
Yes, we definitely in our plan that we put have developed a site plan where we do, and we have verified and confirmed that we have the the faculty to teach the courses. And so we're feeling very comfortable with that. The other thing, the need and the demand is so high as it relates to numerous restaurants, gaming, you name it. So we don't think we'll have any problem not only having new students to come and join or take part in this online program, but also individuals who are already in jobs and wish to better themselves. And I don't have a specific number, but I do know that Dr. Marshall is on the line if she wants to chime in on that one, but I'm not 100% certain. So many things are fluid right now, but we're pretty confident that this is as Dr. Sahu's a online program that is in high demand. And we see this not only in the state of Louisiana, but across our region in the country.
Yes, can we have Dr. Marshall speak, and can she speak to the laboratory existence or needs for this program?
Yes, so what we're using with this program is going to be a 2+2 program. So it's going to be targeting freshman and sophomore course students across the state. And what we're going to use is our universities and our technical community colleges that have the Louisiana Transfer Degree Guarantee Initiative. So this is going to be a way that we definitely can guarantee that we will get students, and that the pool will come from two-year schools such as SUNO, as well as a partnership with SUSLA with their new kitchen incubator program that they have going on in Shreveport.
Okay, thank you very much.
Did that complete the question, Dr. Davis?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Were there any? Dr. Sahu, I think your presentation was, you only spoke to item C. Do you wish to go ahead and speak to item E also?
Item E, is it about the supply chain management, sir?
No, sir. The online degree program.
That was the food industry leader.
Okay. Are there any additional questions regarding
Yes,
item C?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that's Dr. Tarver.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that misprint on the agenda that has SBR rather than the School of Agriculture? Look at E on the bottom.
No, they're informing me, Dr. Tarver, that it's through the college.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on item C or E? Mr. Gillum.
E, the request of approval, the letter of intent to develop the hospitality and food industry program. Just an aside for clarification, and I tried to text to the local chancellor, Dr. Ellis, to get his insight on something. The Shreveport campus has had, of course, a hospitality program for some years. And if Dr. Ellis is online, would it be appropriate for him to maybe answer how this program impacts what we're doing here? And is there some opportunities for collaboration?
Dr. Ellis, are you on?
I'm here. So I believe Dr. Marshall spoke to the fact that we will be collaborating with SUBR and the Ag School to form a partnership with our hospitality certificate as well as the new kitchen incubator piece. So it definitely fits into what we plan on doing here in Shreveport.
If I may add, sir, that this is very much in line with the one university concept that was forwarded as part of our strategic intent, that we want to be able to have students both from Shreveport and from SUNO to take advantage of this program and to be able to further their education by using the online offerings at SUBR.
So, Dr. Sahu, this should be what, mutually advantageous for all campuses?
Yes, sir. And also reach out to others from the community colleges to also, after their it's a 2+2 after the associate degree, pursue this as a way to gain a degree and be employed in the food
Thank
service
you, Dr.
industry.
Sahil. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome, Mr. Gillum. Any additional questions on item C or E? Any questions on item C or E? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of both items C and E. Is there a motion?
I move.
Dr. Davis has moved. Is there a second? Dr. Talbot has seconded the approval of items C and E. Dr. Belton?
Yes. Attorney Rutledge,
Yes.
Reverend Tolbert,
Yes.
Solomon, Dr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar,
Yes.
Fondell, Dr. Gaines,
Yes.
One second, Dr. Belton. The IT folks are asking me to ask somebody whose phone is not muted or television is on. If you'll please either turn down the television or mute your phone until it's time to vote, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Hilliard,
Yes.
Yes.
Attorney Shorty,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Tarver,
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to item D. Request approval to rename the Bachelor of General Studies program to Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies program at Southern University of New Orleans. Dr. Andrews.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President Belton, colleagues. This request to rename the program from General Studies to Interdisciplinary Studies went through the university approval processes to include the University Curriculum Committee. And the name change, in our opinion, will accurately reflect the fact that students will receive a flexible course of study that establishes an interdisciplinary approach to their development. And this request, if approved, will also change the classification of instructional program code, or the SIP code, from general studies to interdisciplinary studies. And that is the request, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Are there any questions? Members, are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, I would like to members entertain a motion to approve item D and item F together.
So moved, Dr. Whitfield.
All right.
Second.
Okay, Dr. Talbot seconded it. It was moved by Dr. Whitfield. We'll approve item D and F. Dr. Belton.
Yes. Attorney Rutledge,
Yes.
Reverend Tolbert,
Yes.
Mr. Solomon, Dr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar,
Yes.
Mr. Fondell,
Yes.
Dr. Gaines, Mr. Gilliam,
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard,
Yes.
Brandon McGee,
Yes.
Attorney Shorty,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Tarver, Dr. Tarver,
Yes.
Dr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Motion passed on both those items.
Thank you. We want to take this opportunity to congratulate all of our graduates. Unfortunately, this will be
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Dr. Davis?
Yes, Dr. Sahu and Dr. Sahu, do you have any idea what the numbers look like for the graduates And I guess there's also Dr. Ellis and Attorney Pierre. Do you have any indication what the graduate numbers look like at this juncture?
I'll answer for the Law Center. 120 is what we anticipate.
Okay.
Yes, for the Baton Rouge campus, these are prospective graduates, of course. 473 for New Orleans, 411 for Shreveport, 271. That's what's pointed out by the 120.
Okay. Thank you much.
As a follow-up, Dr. Belton, you can answer this. I know we're probably not going to have a commencement exercise. I believe we've already announced that. What are we going to do alternatively? Are there any plans in the future to do anything with these graduates other than mailing a degree?
Yes. So first and foremost, all of the campuses within the Southern University system are planning to participate in a national collaboration specifically for HBCUs as provided by Thurgood Marshall. It's going to be a virtual commencement exercises for HBCUs, and all of our campus will be participating in that, I think, the first week in May. But more specific to your question, the Baton Rouge campus right now, we have announced that we will facilitate commencement for both spring and summer graduates in August. And I think the other campuses are as well planning for their respective commencements over the course of the summer months.
Okay, very good. Okay, we'll move
Chair.
now. Yes, ma'am.
Mr.
Mrs.
Chair.
Smith. Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Smith.
I'd like to ask Dr. Belton if does it appear that COVID-19 diminished our graduate numbers, or was it about the same, or did it boost it, or just where were we with that? Did this situation cause a noticeable number of graduates, potential graduates, not to graduate?
Well, it is true. I think in years past, our number of graduates on the Baton Rouge campus is typically right around 5, in some cases 600 students. Again, I would caution, we do not want to submit this as our final number, if you will. And so we're still trying to process those applications, and we are hopeful that that we would average the number of graduates as we have done in years past. I do not think that the COVID-19 virus has any substantive impact on those students who are graduating. And as we will discuss later, the universities within the system have taken into account this disruption and have provided for students options and have advanced grading policies that accommodate and acknowledge the degree to which this virus has been rather disruptive. So those things combined, we do not believe has impacted greatly the number of students who are poised to graduate for the spring.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on item F before we go to item G? Any other questions on item F? And before we go to item G, for those persons who may have joined the meeting recently, if you wish to submit a comment or question, you can do so via sus.edu, or you can do so at area code 225-771-4364. Thank you. We'll go now to item G, request approval of recommendations of endowed professorships, Southern University Law Center, Chancellor Pierre.
Yes, good morning, everyone, and I hope everyone is healthy and well. As it relates to endowed professorships, we have 4 members of our faculty that have been recommended and voted upon by the faculty appointment, retention, promotion, and tenure committee in accordance with the rules set forth by the Board of Regents and the Southern University system. And we would ask that the board approve their appointment as endowed professors beginning, their terms beginning in August. We have been very fortunate. Mr. Harrell has done a great job with our endowments, and that we have sufficient funds in our endowments that we have been able to pay out funds every year to our endowed professors to help them support their research and scholarship and other scholarly activities. So we request that in accordance with those policies, that these four be accorded the titles associated and recommended by the Faculty Appointment, Retention, and Tenure, Promotion and Tenure Committee.
All righty, are there any questions regarding item G, members? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval of item G.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Gillum. Who was the second by? Dr. Tarver. Dr. Gaines, thank you. Dr. Belton?
Yes. Attorney Rutledge?
Yes.
Reverend Tolbert?
Yes.
Ms. Bartholomew? Ms. Bartholomew? Dr. Davis? Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar?
Yes.
Mr. Fundell?
Yes.
Dr. Gaines?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Attorney McGee?
Yes.
Attorney Shorty?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Tarver? Dr. Whitfield?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And we want to thank Chancellor Pierre for the presentation and for being present with us today. We know he lost a member of his family, his sister, a couple of days ago. You'll be asked to formally acknowledge that during the adoption of the resolutions later on, but we want him to know he remains in our collective thoughts and prayers. We'll go now to item H, request approval of the 2000.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
can we take H and I in global?
Yes, sir.
That's a motion, everyone.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. McGee. Second by Mr. Hilliard. Dr. Belton.
Yes. Attorney Rutledge?
Yes.
Reverend Tolbert? Mr. Bartholomew? Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar?
Yes.
Mr. Fundell?
Yes.
Dr. Gaines?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Attorney McGee?
Yeah, sir.
Attorney Shorty?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Tarver?
Yes.
Dr. Whitfield?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes on both of those items.
Dr. Belton, did you get my yes? I don't know. It's Pat McGee.
I did, yes, sir.
My apologies, everyone.
Thank you. We'll go down to item J. Dr. Ammons, request approval of revised mission statement for Southern University of New Orleans.
Thanks, Chair. As you know, in addition to the university addressing the probationary status with the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on College, we're also preparing client certification document for our regular 10-year reaffirmation of accreditation. As a part of that process, we realized that the mission statement for SUNO was last approved back in 2013 and did not adequately reflect where the university is today and going forward. So there are two additions to the mission statement. One that would recognize the role of research, and the other would recognize the use of various teaching and learning modalities, such as online and remote instruction. And so the recommendation is to approve this mission statement that encompasses research and the use of various teaching modalities.
Okay, any questions regarding item J? Any questions, members? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Talbot,
Hello.
also.
Okay, moved by Dr. Talbot. Is there a second?
Second.
Who?
McGee.
McGee second. Okay, Dr. Talbot moved, Mr. McGee seconded. Dr. Belton.
Okay. Attorney Rutledge.
Yes.
Reverend Tolbert.
Yes.
Dr. Bartholomew. Or Mr. Bartholomew.
Yeah, I'm here.
Dr.
I'm online.
I got you.
All right.
Dr. Davis.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Dunbar.
Yes.
Ms. Frondell.
Yes.
Dr. Gaines.
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam.
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard.
Yes.
Attorney McGee. Attorney McGee.
Yes.
Attorney Shorty.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Carver. Dr. Tarver.
Yes.
Dr. Whitfield.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Belton. Thank you, members. We'll go now to item K. Dr. Sahu requests approval of fees for online graduate certificate and supply chain management. Dr. Sahu.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, and members of the Board of Supervisors, we are requesting a small fee associated with this certificate program to defray the additional costs and to be able to provide the opportunity for these candidates or the students who will participate in this certificate program to be industry competitive. There is a large cost associated with the supply chain management software in terms of the SAP software license, and also to be able, there is a high cost in terms of recruiting and also preparing these students to be successful in terms of completing the requirements of this certificate program. So this $30 fee, I think, will provide some much needed additional revenue to help these students get a better academic experience and the program to defray some of the
Okay,
additional
members, if there's
costs.
no objection, I'd like to ask Dr. Sahu to address item M also, and then we'll come back to item L on the distribution of the CARES Act fund. Dr. Sahu, would you address
Yes, sir.
item M, request
Yes, sir.
approval to adjust fee schedule for online session?
Yes, sir. The distribution of the CARES money for SUBR is mandated to be 50% to be distributed to students. We provided feedback and input to our president that the distribution be made the way it was intended. The money was given to us or granted to us based on the number of eligible or number of students who are eligible to, number of full-time equivalent students eligible for Pell Grant. So the recommendation was to also provide half of the money that is given to us to our students, beginning with the students who have the greatest need in terms of the Pell eligible students.
Okay.
And the rest of the money, I think, will be used based on the strategic priorities and the decision of the President Chancellor with input from the constituents.
Dr. Belton?
I would like to further elaborate on action item M. It requests the board to consider allowing the university to adjust its fee schedule for the summer in light of the fact that we are offering that the summer courses will be offered exclusively online. Then we are adjusting the schedule to remove all fees that would normally be captured from students in light of their engagement when they're actually here at the university. Having said that, then the cost for summer school will be reduced significantly for students, where all they would literally be paying for is tuition with the exception and the online fee. No other fees will be applicable to those students.
Okay, members, are there any questions on items K or M? Any questions on K or M? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for the adoption of items K and M.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gillum. Is there a second?
Second. And
Second by
Smith.
Mrs. Smith. Thank you, Mr. Gillum, Mrs. Smith. Dr. Belton.
Yes. Attorney Rutledge?
Yes.
Reverend Tolbert?
Yes.
Mr. Bartholomew? Mr. Bartholomew? Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar?
Yes.
Reverend Fondell?
Reverend, I'll take it.
Mr. Fondell, I'm sorry.
We're in the ministry already, Doc. It's okay.
I got you. Dr. Gaines?
Yes.
Mr. Gillies?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Attorney McGee?
Yes.
Attorney Shorty?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Tarver?
Yes.
Dr. Whitfield?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Belton. We'll go now to item L, request approval of action plan for the distribution of emergency student funds provided by the CARES Act. Mr. McClinton.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Chair, other members of the board, and Mr. President. What I would like to do is to provide an overview of the CARES Act funding that university received, that we will receive. I would like to say first that we have the grant authorization for the Baton Rouge campus, and we have the grant authorization for the Stuno campus for the first phase of the money, and we're expecting the one for Shreveport at any time now. In addition to that, we have also received authorization for the second phase of the money, and you probably will be able to look at the slide and see the total allocation is $14,473,581, and it's broken down. And I'll just give it to you: 9.3 billion for Southern University A&M College, 2.4 million for New Orleans, and Shreveport 2.5, which is almost 2.6 million. We are required to use at least 50% of that money in order to make emergency grants to students. So as you can see, $7.2 million going directly to the students. And then the remaining allocation will be used for institutional costs. If you look at the next slide, the university will determine which students will receive the cash grants. So that authorization is left to the university. The university agrees to make available financial aid grants directly to the students. And when I said directly to the students, that means that if a student has an outstanding receivable, we will not be able to apply the money to his receivable. We must give that money directly to the student. The university shall not use the advance funds to reimburse itself for any cost expenses. So these dollars are strictly for the students and not for any other cost that the university incurred. You first retain discretion to the amount each individual emergency financial aid grant which means that the university is authorized to go in and determine what the distribution will be for each student. Next slide, please. The university should be mindful of each student's particular socioeconomic circumstances, and the advanced funds cannot be used for any purpose, again, under the direct, other than direct payments for the student. And the university holds these funds as a fiduciary, which means it's almost basically an agency fund. So we're just holding those funds for the student. The next slide, please. Okay, that's the use of the first phase, the 50% of the funds that I talked about earlier. So that's the procedure we must follow in order to distribute those funds. Slide that you see now talks about the portion that comes to the institution and how the institution can use those funds. So the university agrees to cover any costs associated with significant charges to delivery of instructions due to the coronavirus. The university shall not use the advanced funds for payment to contractors for provisions of pre-enrollment recruitment activities, capital outlay associated with facility, sectarian instruction, or religious worship. The university retains discretion determining how they allocate the remaining funds, the funds used, other funds that are provided. In this particular case, we can also use institutional funds, but if we want to. The next slide, please. Okay, the university may use the fund to reimburse itself for costs related to refunds made to students for housing, food, and other related services that would no longer. So in effect, we are reimbursing on a pro rata basis our students for housing and food. So in this particular case, we are authorized to use the institutional portion of the higher ed fund to cover those costs. The university should be reimbursed for hardware, software, or internet connectivity that may be in person on behalf of the student or provided to students. So we are allowed to also cover those costs out of the institutional funds. The university may use portions of the institutional cost fund to provide emergency funding aid and grants to students. Again, I said that earlier, that we can give additional funds to students if the chancellor decide to do that, as long as it's authorized, as long as they are authorized students. And the last one, the next one is the university institutional costs must be incurred on or after the December 31st, 2020. Next. And this is the university's agreement with the education department. And warn and acknowledge and agree that Federal University should distribute all advanced funds for 1 year. So we must distribute all the funds within 1 year. Federal University will pay all of its employees and contractors during the period of any disruption or closure related to the coronavirus. And Southern University shall cooperate with the examination of records with respect to the advanced funds. And all they're saying is that if we have audit, those funds are auditable and they can come in and review what we have done. The other thing is that the next pot of money we have not received yet. We have not received the grant, we have not received the distribution. And those funds are the HBCU funds. We have not received any information on how the funds will be distributed. It's understanding that $50 million that also went to the states, the universities will receive a small portion of that. Again, we don't know what that amount is, but my understanding from meeting with the Board of Regents, these funds will be used for, the governor was recommending these funds be used for online services. In fact, being able to provide the mechanism to offer online services and also for faculty.
Question.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. McClinton, it said that must spend the funds in the first year. Does that mean to end December 31st, 2020? Or what's the time for distribution of the funds, spending of the funds? Is it December 31st?
Well, right. Let me say this: each day we are getting additional information and updates on how funds can be used. For example, now we get, and I'm going to answer your question in a second. We got a case. What I didn't mention is that it can't be distributed to international students, nor can it be distributed to students who are in online programs prior to the virus. But the deadline, I can say to you that the deadline, we have 1 year to spend the funds. And that December deadline, I'll go back and recheck it, but I know we have 1 year to spend the funds.
Did that complete your question, Dr. Davis?
Yes, just one other thing, Ms. McClinton, do you anticipate that those are adequate funds to meet the costs that have been incurred at this point?
Are you referring to the fund for the institution? The institutional cost is for the funds that's going to the students.
For both the students portion and the institutional portion.
Okay, I would say that I can't say that for the student exactly what costs they have, but what I can say to you is that the university is the one looking at it and determining what the distribution should be. It's a limited amount of money, and all we can do is distribute what we have, but the university can decide on the institutional portion to cover their costs. One of the big costs that I know Baton Rouge would have is the fact that the pro rata reimbursement to the students for housing and for the meal plan. And SUNO actually also have that same cost. So when you look at the institutional portion of it, the amount will be substantially reduced when we subtract those costs from it. But to answer your question, I'm certain will be sufficient at this time to cover the costs for the students.
Question: can you transfer funds among the three institutions? I mean, the university portion. Let's say that Shreveport incurred additional costs and Baton Rouge had surplus. Could you transfer those funds to Shreveport?
I did read early in the some of the guidelines that we had. They mentioned that if a school did not need the funds, it could be transferred. But then, like I say to you, some of the things that we read in the beginning, those guidelines are changing. So right now, I'm not certain. Based on the initial guidelines, we probably could, but they would have to meet the qualifications also, wherever you transfer them to. And I don't know. Also, I don't know the procedure for doing it, Dr. Davis.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Did that complete your question, Dr. Davis?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Are there any other questions, members? Any other questions regarding item L? Any other questions regarding item L? Okay, seeing none, we'll entertain a motion for the adoption of item L.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
And Smith, second.
Seconded by Mrs. Smith. Dr. Belton.
Yes. Attorney Rutledge.
Yes.
Reverend Tolbert.
Yes.
Ms. Bartholomew. Dr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar.
Yes.
Mr. Frondell.
Yes.
Dr. Gaines.
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam.
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard.
Yes.
Colonel McGee.
Yes.
Shorty.
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Tarver.
Yes.
Dr. Whitfield. Mr.
Yes.
Williams. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Moving right along. Yes, sir.
I'd like to request we take up items N through Q in global.
N through Q. in global. Okay, is there any objection?
I'll second it.
Who seconded?
That's Raymond.
Okay, moved by Mr. McGee, seconded by Mr. Fondale. Regarding item P, I want to read, there is a public statement submitted by Dr. Albert Samuels, who's president of the Faculty Senate, and he wishes to express support for several of the personnel actions, namely Dr. Karen Crosby, Dawn Kite, and Dr. Muhammad Rahman and Blanche Smith. And that's submitted by, again, Dr. Albert Samuels, President of the Faculty Senate. So at this time, Dr. Belton, we will consider the
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Gillum.
I believe if my alphabet's correct, P would fall within the purview of what the original motion is.
That is correct.
That regards the MOU between SUNO and California Community College. Would it be in place to just have Dr. Ammons to give just a word or two of specifics about that arrangement?
That would be Q, Mr. Gillum.
Yeah.
Q.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. We can, Dr. Ammons.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We can have him speak to it briefly. Dr. Ammons, will you speak to the MOU between the California Community Colleges, Chancellor's Office, and
Yes,
University
sir.
of New Orleans?
This MOU gives opportunities for students from the 114 California community colleges with at least 30 units and a 2.5 GPA or an associate level degree to transfer to SUNO. There are transfer scholarship opportunities that will be available to students, in addition to waiving the out-of-state fees associated with the cost of attendance.
Nice.
These students, if they participate in the National Academic Signing Day with SUNO, they may have their application fee for housing waived. And we will also aid in the data recovery for the transfer rate and student success. So what we have done is put together a sort of a system of support for these students from their interest in SUNO through their enrollment. And we are also providing them with pre-advising prior to their arrival at SUNO. And we really look forward to this opportunity to expand education opportunities for those in California because of really the lack of space in the state California system for some of these students to have them to come to New Orleans and SUNO.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Actually, I think it can be quite advantageous for SUNO. The question I would raise, of course, to Dr. Ammons, I mean, it looks like a good process and a good plan. Are we going to have some boots on the ground working it there in California?
Well, the plan right now, because of the coronavirus, is to continue to do our virtual marketing and recruitment, which is underway. It hosts members of the California Community Colleges System Administration on the campus prior to the virus. But as of now, everything that we do will be virtual.
Virtual. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gillum. Any other questions on items N, O, P, or Q? N, O, P, or Q? Seeing none, Dr. Belton.
Yes. Attorney Rutledge?
Yes.
Reverend Torber?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Solomon? Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar? Mr. Fondell?
Yes.
Dr. Gaines?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Attorney McGee?
Yes.
Attorney Shorty?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
I think she said yes.
Okay.
I said yes.
Said yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Tarver,
Yes.
Dr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes. on
Thank
those.
you, members. We're on our last section, and that's informational items.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Did we vote on item F? Did you check the record just to make sure?
Yeah, I'm informed that we did vote on F.
Okay, thank
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We'll go now to item, I'm sorry, was there another question? Okay, we'll go now to Chancellor Pierre, pathway legal education options for the city of Shreveport.
Okay, good morning again. As you are all aware, the Board of Regents commissioned a study to look at various legal educational opportunities in the Shreveport and Bossier, Northwest Louisiana area, as well as other graduate and professional school opportunities in conjunction with two resolutions from both the House and the Senate. They contracted with a third party out of Colorado to do the study. They completed the study and submitted a report to the Board of Regents. And in the month of February, Chairman Rutledge, I believe Dr. Tarver, Dr. Belton, and I, and some other members of Southern University system attended to the Board of Regents meeting where the Board of Regents requested a response from the Southern University Law Center and the Southern University system to the report. Subsequent to that, we had the February board meeting in Shreveport. There was just a little discussion about it, not much. And I promised then that I would provide a response for the Southern University Board of Supervisors to review. Obviously, we did not have the meeting in March, so I wanted to present the response for the April board meeting. Hopefully you all have had a chance to read it, but let me go over what I view as are the high points, and then I'll entertain questions. Basically, we think at the Southern University Law Center, and certainly Dr. Belton has expressed his support, that this is an opportunity for the Law Center and the Southern University system to expand its footprint in Northwest Louisiana. We seem to have had a great deal of support from the Caddo Parish Commission and from the city of Shreveport, because the idea of professional education in terms of legal education and other graduate and professional educational opportunities is one that seems to be highly supported by a number of stakeholders in that particular region of the state. So given the report and the challenges that were identified in the report, I was able to look at various plans, models, discussions. The Southern University Law Center has been up to Shreveport on a number of occasions over the last couple of years for sure. And Dr. Ellis was able to allow us to look at the facilities in the Metro campus, and he has been expressing feedback that he's been getting from the local community, as well as board members Gilliam and Hilliard and other board members, and of course Dr. Tarver, because his brother Senator Greg Tarver has been a strong supporter of us pursuing those opportunities. So in essence, what I have laid out is what I call a multi-step process for us to be able to have a legal education footprint in the Shreveport Bossier area that serves Northwest Louisiana, North Louisiana, and other areas like East Texas and Southern Arkansas. First of all, the report to the Board of Regents indicate that although there is access to legal education in the state of Louisiana, there is not sufficient access in the Northwest region. As you may all know, all 4 law schools in the state of Louisiana are either in Baton Rouge or New Orleans. So if you're someone from that part of the state, you have to come 3.5, 4 hours to pursue legal education opportunities. The second thing is that there is a need, there's a disparity in opportunities for legal education for minorities in that part of the state, and also in terms of just residents in that part of the state. So these are things that were identified in the report. The report to the Board of Regents also identified challenges. So looking at all those factors involved, the approach that I think works for us to look at is this. We already have experience with our programs in Baton Rouge for what I call an off-campus instructional site. For those of you who may not be familiar, we actually offer classes in downtown Baton Rouge for a limited number of hours to accommodate students who work in the downtown area or who commute into Baton Rouge to save them some mileage where they can just park and go to class in downtown Baton Rouge. So we have experience with that. And because of the fact that it appears that the Caddo Parish Commission and the city are willing to give us free use of the downtown Shreve Memorial Library, it would make sense that we seize upon that opportunity to, in our first phase, do something that I would call the semester in Shreveport. And that idea would be one where in the spring of 2022, we allow students who are in their final year, final semester of law school to start getting a foothold in career opportunities in Shreveport, work with the local bar associations, judges, corporations, and other entities to create sort of an externship program as well as provide classroom experiences for those students, because they're winding down their legal education career and instruction would not be very difficult to provide to them in that one last semester. They could only earn up to 16 hours of credit, which allows us to pilot the program without having to get ABA approval for that, nor any type of approval from SAC-COC or the Board of Regents. We're just taking an existing program and providing an educational option for the students to kind of realign themselves with the legal community in Shreveport. That allows for those students, for example, from the Shreveport area to go back home, to look at opportunities, et cetera, and finish up their legal education. My proposal would be to do that for 2 years. Do it in the spring of 2022, do it in the spring of 2023. Simultaneously with that, the idea would be to be working with the Parish Commission and the city to retrofit that downtown library to be able to accommodate everything we need from classroom space, meeting space, conference space, library space. That facility, I believe, is 4 stories and a basement. So it's a huge facility, and it sits right across from the courthouses in Shreveport, the district courts not far from the federal court, and in close proximity to the courts in Bossier Parish. And what we'd be doing there is essentially making sure that we would be able to meet for the next phase very stringent requirements for physical facilities that the ABA has and SAC-COC has for that next phase. Phase 2 would be what we would call a year in Shreveport. Take that last year instead of one semester, now spend the whole year in Shreveport getting the last year of your legal education out of the way, being able to establish relationships, providing externship opportunities, creating what I would call a connectivity with the Shreveport and North Louisiana community. Now, on that phase, we would have to get ABA acquiescence and SAC-COC acquiescence approval, because that would be considered to be a substantive change, and students could earn anywhere from 32 hours on up, 32, 33 hours essentially for that. Part of that, what we would do is we would begin that actually with the idea that in the summer semester of 2023, we might even offer some summer classes, because we would want to be able to keep students there for the whole year, and we would be getting that approval before we started in that particular process. If we're successful with that process, we would do that for 2 years. And then in year 5, we would essentially roll out a legal education program that I would primarily call an evening weekend type program, where a person could start their legal studies in Shreveport and complete their legal studies in Shreveport. And at that particular point in time, we would have to meet all requirements from the ABA, which I've listed in the proposal as to what those requirements are. And of course, SAC-COC, because we're offering a degree in a different location, but it's not a different degree, it's just a degree option in a different location. I believe this would be a prudent way to approach what we're attempting to do. We would give ourselves buy-in. We would be able to take advantage of the newer technological tools that have become available to us, and to deliver legal education. We would, although when I first started thinking about this, the COVID situation was developing, but now it seems even more prescient, I should say, because we don't have the financial resources, I don't think so, to even do anything full blown. So this will give us an opportunity to get those things in place, put the resources in place, find out who our friends are and who our supporters are, so that we would know what type of resources we had. And that if for any reason we could not get to the last level, we could at least have a footprint and recalibrate whether or not we push that back or just not do it at all at some point. Although I do think once we get started, I think the community will embrace us. But that gives us the ability to deal with any risk associated with that, because I don't see the ability nor the appetite of the Louisiana legislature to provide the funding. I did see appetite from the local community to do so, but even now with COVID-19, their ability to do so might be restricted in some way, shape, or form. So I think we just have to be smart about it, but we lay out a plan, we show our commitment, and perhaps this gives us the footprint that we will want to have, and to build a larger base of support, and that could have other benefits for other units in the Southern University system, for example, MBA programs, MPA programs, other programs that could have a footprint in the graduate programs. And I'm actually getting some feedback from some folks who really see this as a great opportunity in Shreveport, Louisiana. So that concludes my presentation with respect to that, and I'll open for any questions or feedback.
Okay, I see Mr. Gillum's hand is, did you wish to speak, Mr. Gillum? Do you have a question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. And indeed, I must say, Chancellor Pierre has done a very adequate job, of course, in covering the subject. And my oratorical acumen is not nearly comparable to his, but speaking on behalf of the local community, I feel inclined to just say something regarding his comments. First of all, there is tremendous community support in the Shreveport-Bossier area, and I could extend that to East Texas, South Arkansas, whatever have you, because as you know, there are no legal opportunities available in this whole Arklay, Texas area. I have read both documents, the NCAMS, I've forgotten what that acronym is, Chancellor Pierre. It's pretty long, from the group from Denver, who did the report for the Board of Regents. I read that with great interest. And of course, I've read the Chancellor's pathway proposal with great interest. And I have constantly gotten feedback from the local community, the local stakeholders here, who are still interested in this process. They are particularly interested in the idea, as Chancellor Pierre brought forth, of that initial footprint into the area, just getting a presence up here. And as I read and as I listen to the Chancellor's comments, it appears as though at least that initial step would not be a substantive change. We would not necessarily need SACS or ABA or any other approval to do that. And I do believe that I believe he does it the first semester or the semester in Shreveport. Is it adventurous? We're all realistic here in Shreveport, and we realize with the COVID-19 environment, the funding environment, all the other resources that it's going to be a challenge. But it takes me back, and I'll close with this, Mr. Chairman. I remember back over 50 years ago, we had some of the same deals when we were talking about establishing the Shreveport campus of Southern University in Shreveport. You know, a lot of people said, well, you know, the challenge is too ominous. It's this, it's that. But we forged on with a realistic approach. And here, that campus is 50 years hence and still thriving, thanks to the leadership of a lot of people sitting around this table. But the community, I'll close out by saying, Mr. Chairman, the local community, Shreveport, Bossier, the whole area, is truly supportive of what Chancellor Pierre proposes. Thanks to both of you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gillum. Are there any other questions, comments, observations?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Dr. Tarver.
Yes, I want to compliment our Chancellor for a well thought out, well planned document. I think it's a very brilliant approach, and they spread it out over a period of time to give us enough time to evaluate it, to assess its impact, and to see what happens post this coronavirus situation. And I'm certainly in favor of our taking this approach, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tarver. Any other comments from board members? Dr. Belton, did you have any?
It's Fondale.
Okay, one second. Mr. Fondale.
Yeah, I just want to say also, Dr. Pierre, I know he's been working on this for quite a while as far as formulating a plan for it. And doing it in the stages seems to be a good opportunity to kind of ease the way into the community. So I just wanted to give my vote of approval on it with them also, and to continue the work that you've been doing on this as far as moving forward. It's going to allow us an opportunity to bring more minorities into the middle class in that area and also throughout the state. So thank you very much, Dr. Pierre.
Okay. Any other board members? Any other board members? Okay, Dr. Belton.
No, I just wanted to commend Chancellor Pierre in keeping with his proposal. I think it's a sound strategy in moving forward. There is a lot of momentum currently to advance this initiative. I would just encourage him to as much as possible to begin now to secure those kind of commitments that we need to ensure that this is a feasible proposal. As you know, I think the leadership structure in Northwest Louisiana may well be to the Law Center's benefit in terms of embracing this strategy. And as time goes by, you know, that leadership structure may be different. And so clearly, I think we need to take advantage of those who have expressed support for this project and try to secure as many commitments now that we could possibly benefit from. But again, I think it's a very sound proposal and one that really takes into account the here and now and any risks that may be forthcoming.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Belton and members and Chancellor Pierre. We look forward to future updates regarding your progress on this project. We'll go now to
if I may, just for 1 minute. So right now it's an informational item, and at some point, I think the board needs to kind of vote on it. Maybe we could get it for the agenda for the next board meeting, because I do think, the best way to show our commitment is to get board approval to move forward that way. When I'm interacting with the other political leadership in Northwest Louisiana, they'll know that the board is in 100% support of it.
Okay, duly noted. We'll go now to 6B, interim financial report, Mr. McClinton.
That's a problem.
Mr. McClinton, is your phone unmuted? It's muted. His phone is muted. Just give us a need to get you unmuted, Mr. McClinton. Mr. McClinton? Sure. Okay. Mr. McClinton? Members, while Mr. McClinton apparently is having some technical challenges.
I'm on the phone with him. He says his phone is not muted, so it is a technical issue.
Yeah, so we'll come back to B and we'll go now to item C, to Dr. Williams on the COVID-19 update, and while they're working on the challenges with Mr. Clinton, we'll go to C. And before she begins, I want to thank her, and I know I speak for the entire board and Dr. Belton. I know I talked to Dr. Belton since the COVID challenge multiple times a day. It's hard to convey the logistical challenges they've had to manage here. I want to appreciatively acknowledge the work that he, his staff, all of the campuses have undertaken to try to get us up to speed, but particularly the updates that we receive from Dr. Williams almost on a daily, sometimes morning and afternoon. And they were coming, so I told Dr. Belton about a week ago, tell her just do it once a week now, which is good to provide more information to keep us up to speed with what's going on, which obviates the need for a lot of phone calls and conjecture about what we're doing and what we're not doing. So I want her to know, and Dr. Belton and the staff to know, and everybody, nameless and faceless, a lot of people who had to put this together and who's continued to work while others were at home. We sincerely appreciate it, and it has not gone unnoticed. So, Dr. Williams.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And I just want to say that it certainly was a team effort. Everyone on all of the campuses stepped up to the from the chancellors to the administrative team and all others, inclusive of support staff, even students. We actually had a few students that came on every now and then. So thank you to the team. We definitely stepped up and lived up to the mantra of "We are Southern." But just to give you a brief update, and I'll try to be as brief as possible. As you all know, the sudden arrival and the spread of COVID-19 has obviously had drastic impact both here and across the globe. And as soon as Governor Edwards announced the stay-at-home order, the Southern system immediately began shifting into this new norm as we know it today. President Belton immediately commenced this task force that consisted of leaders from all of our campuses. And initially we met daily and of course provided daily updates as you've referenced to keep you all informed. And still to this day, we're continuing to meet multiple times throughout the week. Our focus has always been very simple yet twofold. First and foremost, to protect and ensure that the health and the safety of our students and our faculty and staff. And secondly, of course, to maintain the continuity of high quality instruction along with the progression of our operations. So we rose to the occasion as a team. Our campuses began working towards building a more robust and expansive online platform across our system. Our administrative teams worked together internally and externally with partners such as the Board of Regents to ensure that communication was both accurate and very fluid. By way of this task force, there was also a considerable amount of enhanced dialogue among the leadership to immediately identify our campus needs, along with any opportunities for cross-campus collaboration. To date, we are continuing to focus on serving the nearly 300 students who are still remaining in our campus housing across the state. SUNO with about 136 students, Southern Baton Rouge about 116, Southern Shreveport about 34 that can be accounted for. And we have about 37 positive cases system-wide to date. We've also continued to consistently provide communications to our students as they adjust, assuring them that we care about them and we're here for them during this period. And all of our campuses have done an exceptional job at using platforms such as fireside chats and coffee and convos to promote dialogue with our students and of course to address immediately and in a very timely fashion any issues and concerns. Our board staff, human resources, our legal team, our IT, our communications team, our law enforcement teams were all represented. They immediately began providing intensive assistance and support to our campuses. And we have even gone to the extent of doing things as a system, making bulk purchases of PPEs and other things to make sure that our campuses were serviced and that they had everything they needed to keep things moving. We, of course, are especially grateful to our chancellors who are on the phone for their leadership, of course, during such an unprecedented time. And as leadership teams, we are constantly reminded that this is a marathon and certainly not a sprint for us. So we're going to continue working together as a unified voice in order to continue serving our students. We want to thank you, this board, for your ongoing leadership, your support. It's been invaluable during this time. And with that, Mr. President, I'm happy to entertain any questions. And again, just want to acknowledge the amazing team that we have. Everyone was absolutely committed and remains committed to advancing the work of this system.
Members, any questions? Any questions?
This is Kermit, not a question, but just a comment. Dr. Williams, you made life better for me. That keeps me informed with those regular updates, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other comments, observations, members? Well, again, I also want to thank board staff, Dr. Renee and Ms. Taylor Jarrell. I literally had to make them go home. They still defied my order and snuck back and came to work, but we appreciate them, all of our IT people, Marcus and Cloth. Everybody knows who they are. You start calling names, you get in trouble. But also regarding the Louisiana Health Equity Task Force, I had to step out of the room for a second for a bio break, but I want to thank Senator Fields for the leadership that he provided. I don't believe this task force would have been developed if if it were not for the letter he wrote to the governor requesting it, and how he collaborated with Dr. Belton and staff here regarding the need for it. Anybody who's been watching the news sees and understands that our community is disproportionately impacted by this. And we're very proud that Southern and Dr. Brown will give leadership to the development of addressing this, and hopefully with some action steps to prevent this from happening again. So I want to thank him and join you in thanking staff. Are we ready now for Mr. McClinton? Yes. Okay, we'll go back now to item B, the interim financial reports. Mr. McClinton?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The interim financial reports have been compiled by each one of the campuses and submitted to me, and I have reviewed the reports. And based on my as of March 31st, each one of the campuses' expenditures are in line with the revenue. This is as of March 31st, but I would like for us to keep in mind that all prices
Sharon Ann down there. Anthony has some down there for y'all.
I think that's Mr. Bartholomew. If somebody can mute his mic. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. McClinton.
Okay, no problem. I was saying that the expenditures are in line with the revenues as of March 31st for all campuses, but I would like for us to keep in mind that the R prices are down, sales tax is down, and some of the statutory dedicated revenue probably will be down. So we will be watching those items very closely as we go forward. That's my report.
All right. Any questions, members? Any questions? Any questions? Okay.
Just one question.
Yes, sir. Dr. Davis.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. McClinton, I noticed yesterday LSU had an article in the Advocate talking about putting the freeze on hiring and expenditures and possibly cutting back on personnel, even reducing the salaries of some of our high-paid employees. Do we have are we in a different environment than them? Number one, and if not, if we're in the same environment, do we have any type of contingency plan to deal with, which we know is going to be a downturn in the economy at every level, local, state, and national?
Okay, I have spoken with the president and the chief financial officers, and we are in the process of looking at that. In fact, probably next week, we'll start looking at it in terms of what we think our reductions in revenue will be, if any. But we have not received any information in terms of what the impact of the R prices or the sales tax. I know the president, he might want to speak to this. We have been looking at it in terms of how it will impact summer enrollment, which is also a part of this fiscal year. But we will, as chief financial officer, begin to look at it. And also I've been interacting with the Board of Regents. And we met this week and we talked about it, but we do not have any numbers or any projections at this time.
All I can say is that we need to keep our ears to the ground so we can hear the footprints, the hoop prints as they come toward us.
You can rest assured, sir, we will do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding the interim financial report? Okay, we'll go now to item D, a legislative update. Dr. Merrick.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you.
Good morning.
And Mr. President, just want to give a brief update as it relates to The legislature, I think we've all been watching what's been going on throughout the legislative process. As you know, the session began on March 9th, which was also the same day that the first case of the COVID-19 was discovered in Louisiana. Since that time, however, we've been faced with a series of unknowns as it relates to the legislative session. However, here is what we do know, what we think may be happening, and what we don't know. So what we do know is after convening for a few days, the 2020 legislative session recessed indefinitely. A total of 1,347 bills have been filed. We have identified 128 bills for post-secondary education and 28 that pertain to medicinal marijuana. We're tracking all of those bills, and those bills are on the screen right now, and it's also a part of your packet. When the session resumes, when the session resumes, which we don't know when that will be, and that's going to be heavily dependent upon whether or not Governor Edwards extends the safe at home order, or which is expected to expire on April 30th, which is this coming Thursday. But we do also know that the legislature is constitutionally bound to adjourn by 6 p.m. on June 1st. Some of the things that we think our thoughts are related to a short standstill budget session that may happen in May, or a potential special session. Those are all speculative at this point. We're not certain. We have been in consultation with Southern Strategy that we work very closely with. And we think that there may be at least one short or special session this summer, followed by a longer special session, perhaps in the fall. These sessions would heavily be focused on the budget issues, as Dr. Davis rather alluded to, our budget shortfalls, potential revenue raising measures, and our COVID-19 recovery efforts across the state. So what we really don't know, I should say, is the real impacts of the global pandemic, particularly as it relates to the price of oil, which represents a sizable portion of our state's revenue. So for your convenience, we've included in the packet this interactive list of bills which we're tracking for this session whenever it resumes, and we do think that there may be some movement as early as next week or the first week in May. We've made it interactive such that you can see the bill number and a brief summary. You can click on the blue portion and it will tell you, it'll take you directly to the bill. The bills that are highlighted in yellow are there for you to know that those are bills pertaining to medicinal marijuana. All the other bills have some impact on higher education. And so additionally, at the federal level, we are working, in addition to the CARES Act and the information that Mr. McClinton shared earlier, higher education advocates plan to continue to urge Congress for additional relief on the impact of the pandemic on universities and our students. And so the general areas of advocacy right now, we believe will be centered around reskilling adults through post-secondary education to re-enter the workforce, updating financial aid rules to account for our current economic environment, and supporting students' ability to learn at home. And so the second one, updating our financial aid rules, is going to be one that we're watching very closely to see how that obviously impacts our students going forward. I'll be happy to take any questions if you have any.
I do.
Or if you can take the screen down, please.
Dr.
Yeah, I have a comment and perhaps a request.
Yes, sir.
First of all, to Dr. Snowden, is she online? Dr. Snowden is not. Dr. Snowden, who just got a big appointment, I believe I'm correct, right? Well, I want to congratulate her on that happened some other time. No, let me go. I'm looking now. I believe we did do Dr. Snowden. Yeah, Dr. Snowden, Janice Snowden. She just got a big appointment. And first of all, I guess she's busy at the marijuana plant. But anyway, I want to congratulate her on her appointment. And I noticed there's a lot of interest in medical marijuana with all the bills being filed. And I think it'd be right to keep track of those. But at our next meeting, I would like to see Dr. Snowden give us an update on the medical marijuana, Mr. Chancellor Dean.
I'll do that, sir.
And let us know where we are in terms of our contract with the firm and the development of facilities out there. I would say I was out there some time ago and they made quite a bit of progress. So we'd like to see an update on that progress and see where we are in terms of the production and processing of the medical marijuana plant.
Yes, sir. We'll definitely have that ready for you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Dr. Belton asked that I share a couple of additional slides with the group. I have them on my screen, Clorth, if you want me to run it from my end, or would you prefer to do it on your end?
You can run it from your end, Dr.
Okay.
Mary.
Very good. Just a moment. I'm going to share my screen with everyone. Okay. So I just want to give shouts out to our communications teams, as well as facilities services and facilities planning here on the campus. We've been doing a lot of work. We've been coming together rather to do quite a bit of work across the Baton Rouge campus, and I'm sure that's taking place on all the other campuses as well. But what we wanted to show you was the progress for some of you who've not been on campus in a while, and we're calling this the While You Were Away. We have a few things we want to share. We have drone photographs. A drone photographer who works with us occasionally has done these for us. And the biggest one we want to start to share with you, here we go. And so this looks familiar. You've been tracking the progress of the top of the F.G. Clark Activity Center. I'm trusting that you all can see this. Okay.
Let me say to Dr. Belton, I've been following him on Twitter.
Okay, and you know.
Twitter, so I've been keeping track of the tweets he's sending out. So he's very technically savvy now.
Very good. Well, this is evidence of that. We have been definitely engaging with our students and our various publics over social media. We've ramped up the work that we're doing on social media, particularly during this time. It's our main source of connection with our students and our publics, and it's working out quite well. In fact, these particular tweets and posts about the work on top of the F.G. Clark Activity Center have taken off tremendously. They've gone viral, and in this case, it's viral in a good way. But I do want to share so that board members can see, in case you're not on social media. This is what the view from the top of the dome looks like if you were taking an aerial shot, and thanks to the drone technology that we can do this. This is work in progress, not quite done. This was taken earlier this week, but as of now, the work is just about complete. This is one of our favorite shots because it captures both the dome and the football stadium, the A.W. Mumford Stadium. And
is that Tony Clayton's drone? I know he said somebody giving us a drone that we can use?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We can check that. But this is the shot as it will look like from aircraft flying over top us.
Nice.
So, and this is the latest view that has added the gold to the logo. So I want to be certain that you didn't think we left the gold off. The gold is now in place. Drone footage is going to be capturing that on today. The weather was a little inclement for us on yesterday and we couldn't quite get the shots in place, but this is the work as it's done so far. And definitely want to thank again our communications folks, facility services, facilities planning, Mr. Guillory, Mr. Eli Guillory. I don't know if you're on the call, but you started to share these photographs with us, and then we have our photographer up capturing the progress throughout the week. And just closing out, in case you missed the bluff, if you've not been here, this was yesterday's sunset. So sunny skies, sunny days ahead for us. And that concludes the legislative update and sort of while you were away from our campus, the things that we've done.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Merrick. Any questions or comments, members?
I have one for Dr. Sahu. Dr. Sahu still online? Dr. Sahu, Dr. Muhammad Rahman.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I read with a lot of interest his bio. It appears that he's traveled in some of the time zones that you've traveled in. So, one, how long have you known him? And when will he be able to come on campus? And what can we expect from him? Now, that's 3 questions in one.
Thank you, sir. I met him for the first time when he came to interview at our campus. I've just known him for a few months now. His date to start is 1st of June, June 1st. He has prior experience at University of Southern Florida, where he led the graduate program there. And since then, he has been appointed as the department chair of mechanical engineering and the graduate programs there, and also holds a distinguished professor position at University of Wichita, Kansas City. He has, like you said, experience recruiting globally. I think that is in line with our intent in our STEM and in our computer science program. And I think he's the right person based on his qualification, his experience, and the plan that he submitted during his interview. He also impressed us, and meaning the committee that recommended him based on his knowledge about a strategic plan and the research that he had done about our campus and about the system. So at this point, we have confidence in his abilities to provide leadership to the graduate program. This is an area where we feel we can grow, both in terms of numbers and in quality. We have some very good PhD programs that need leadership, that needs recruitment in terms of students and in terms of faculty expertise. If you will, since you mentioned that you have looked at his curriculum vitae, he has been very successful in getting grants. And so the feedback that I got from the Dean of the College of Sciences and Engineering, the Associate Dean, and several of the other deans who urged that we make an effort to recruit him to lead our graduate programs. If there are any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer. But otherwise, we think that he has the right educational qualification and the experience, and based on what we understood about him, that he is enthusiastic and willing to come and serve our campus.
Well, I see that he's been all over the place, even down in New Orleans at Tulane and UNO, and even in the Carolinas. I know you came from the Carolinas. He's had connections up there, so appears that he has a lot of contacts and colleagues all over the place. So I hope that he can bring that to bear and grow our graduate programs, which, as has been declining in numbers over the last few years. So let's just hope this will work out. I think the question I asked you was when it's
1st of June. That is the plan, June 1st.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Did that conclude your questions, Dr. Davis?
Yes, sir. I'll just stop right now because it looks like some of my colleagues are getting bored. And I think, and Mr. Bartholomew, look like to me you want to go and have some coffee and pull that mask off. I don't know where he's located, but me kind of nervous. Maybe I should have one.
I almost want to put my mask on, make sure I don't catch it through Zoom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. Okay.
Dr. Whitfield said he was going to call him after the meeting and kind of talk to him.
Man, y'all are cutting up.
Are there any other questions regarding the legislative update? Okay, good. Seeing none, we recognize Dr. Williams for the resolution.
Oh, I wanted to make a comment.
Oh, 1 second. Mrs. Smith?
Okay. Dr. Whitfield, would you like to make a comment in regards to Facilities Committee and Mr. Guillory?
Yeah, just
Or would you like
and I've
me
been
to-
talking about this, but just thanking Mr. Guillory. He's been keeping me abreast of all the changes, and it's exciting to see the new developments and everything that's going on at the Mini Dome. So, Mr. Eli, if you can hear me, we really appreciate all that you're doing. Thank you for the updates. And as you know, I had to take over the Facilities Committee, and he's pretty much running things and keeping me up to date. So I definitely appreciate his help and his vigor in keeping us all up to date and all the changes and things that are going on. The dome looks beautiful. Love it. Can't wait till we get back in there.
Good job. Good job.
All right.
One other comment. I would like to add to Dr. Whitfield's comments, and that is Mr. Guillory has been good in sharing with the entire Facilities Committee about not only the Baton Rouge campus, but he has been keeping us informed on the Southern University of New Orleans campus as well. We appreciate it. Dr. Whitfield, we appreciate you, your sharing with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Whitfield. Thank you, Mrs. Smith, and thank you, Mr. Guillory. Dr. Williams.
Our resolutions are as follows. Condolences to the Elnora Chapman Anderson family. Miss Elnora Chapman Anderson, lovingly known as Sister by her brother and parents, and T. Nora by her nieces and nephews. Elnora was an avid Southern University Athletic Department supporter and season ticket holder. Elnora was an employee for 38 years at Southern University, where she worked in the registrar's office, the School of Public Policy, the Office of the Chancellor, and before retiring, she worked in Southern University's Systems President Office. She passed away on March 22nd, 2020. Condolences are also extended to the Jacqueline Page Green family. Professor Jacqueline Page Green, affectionately known to friends as the legendary soprano of St. Gabriel, Louisiana. Professor Jacqueline was a professor of voice at Southern University and established a legacy of vocal excellence and student nurturing for nearly 30 years. She passed away on February 9th, 2020. Our condolences also to the Maisha Betty Melton family. Miss Maisha Betty Melton, affectionately called by most who knew her as Me, of Greensburg, Louisiana. She finished top student of the 8th grade class at St. Helena Parish Middle School. And Maisha also graduated from St. Helena College Career Academy as valedictorian of the class of 2015. She was attending Southern University in Baton Rouge, pursuing a career in nursing. She passed away on March 5th, 2020. Condolences also to Dr. Nusrat Hassan Naqvi family. Dr. Naqvi was a retired professor of biology at Southern University at Baton Rouge and passed away on April 14th, 2020. Our condolences are also extended to the Nicholas Perkins family. Mr. Nicholas Darren Perkins was a 2014 graduate of McKinley Senior High School and a current psychology student here at Southern University Baton Rouge. He was a member of the Southern University track team, and he passed away on April 7th, 2020. Condolences also to the Philip Cortaro family. Dr. Philip Cortaro Jr. was a faculty member and professor of mathematics at Southern University Baton Rouge from 1967 until he retired in 2002 and held a post as the assistant to the Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs from 1989 to 1991. He was known for his research, authoring, and co-authoring of educational materials and industry-related publications. He passed away on March 9th, 2020. Condolences also to the Lily Pearl Frank Richard family. Mrs. Richard, a native of Crowley, was educated in the schools of St. Landry Parish, and was a cum laude graduate of H.C. Ross High School. She also attended Southern University and Agricultural and Mechanical College in Baton Rouge, and was the grandmother of our very own Dr. Donovan Segura. She passed away March 2nd, 2020. Our condolences also to the Lily Mae Chester McKnight family. Mrs. McKnight was a resident of Tangipahoa Parish and an active member of the Southern University Alumni Federation, Tangipahoa chapter. She was a 1974 graduate of Southern University at Baton Rouge in the College of Education. Our deepest condolences to the Norman Joseph Jude Saint Amant family. Mr. Norman Joseph Jude Saint Amant, affectionately known to everyone as Norman J., graduated from Scollonville Magnet High School. He attended Southern University in Baton Rouge and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education and a Master's in Educational Leadership and Administration. He is the son of Dr. C. Norman Saint Amant and the late Lois Fields Saint Amant. He passed away on February 25th, 2020. Our condolences also to the Gregory Warren Sr. family. Mr. Gregory Warren Sr. attended public schools in Tensas Parish and extended his education at Southern University Baton Rouge. He was a sergeant with the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office for 26 years. He was the brother of Ethel Smith and Lisa Hammond, and the brother-in-law of our very own Graylin Hammond, who are all employees of Southern University of Baton Rouge. He passed away on April 5th, 2020. Very, very special condolences to the family of Chancellor John Pierre, who lost his sister, Miss Mary Margaret Pierre. She passed away on April 7th, 2020, and our thoughts and prayers are continuing to be with Chancellor Pierre and his family. Mr. Chairman, we also would like to ask for a moment of silence for 6 members of our Southern University family who unfortunately have passed away as the result of COVID-19. From our Southern Shreveport campus, they are Dr. Ronnie A. Hampton, part-time clinical faculty at Southern University Shreveport, passed away March 25th, 2020. Ms. Dolores Sorlis, full-time counselor, student support service at Southern University at Shreveport, who passed away April 5th, 2020. Mr. Leonard Whitehurst, brother of Miss Bessie Whitehurst at Southern University at Shreveport, who passed away on April 9, 2020. Miss Thelma Clark, who's the daughter of Miss Angela Clark, who passed away on April 19, 2020, Southern University at Shreveport. Also on the Suno campus, Mr. Shapiro D. Meadows, Student Affairs Division at Southern University at New Orleans, who passed away on Monday, April 13th, and Miss Kendra D. Johnson, a student at Southern University at New Orleans, senior biology major, who passed away on April 16th, 2020. A moment of silence, please, for our Jaguars who have been laid to rest as a result of COVID-19. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. We need to, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the resolutions.
I want to make an addition to the list.
Okay.
If we could you add the name of Miss Etta Pete, an SU graduate, also former attorney in this area, Miss Pamela Matthews, who's passed away, and also taking into consideration since we've started our meeting this morning, the numbers have surpassed 50,000 Americans that have passed away as a result of coronavirus. So I would also ask that we would include that in our resolution also, and just remember all of these families that have been affected within our SU Jaguar family, but families throughout the nation also who have been affected by the coronavirus moving forward. And I would hope that all my colleagues in our respective communities can continue to make sure that we are enforcing the CDC requirements and instructions that the governor has provided us with as far as sheltering in place also. So thank you for that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
This is Talbot. I move for adoption of the resolutions.
With the additional names that Mr. Fondale provided, is there a second?
Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I don't know who seconded it, but
I second that.
okay, Gillum. All those in, no, roll call.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, yes, sir.
I would like to add one additional resolution, if you would, please, if I'm still in order.
Yes, sir.
That would be, of course, for the family of Reverend Harry Blake,
Yes.
an icon here in the Shreveport community. Was a near and dear friend of not only Southern University in Shreveport, but the Southern University system and many others throughout the country, throughout the world.
Thank you, Mr. Gillum. Any other additions? Any other additions? And I gather the maker and seconder of the motion is okay with amending it to include the name of Dr. Blake. Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Dr. Belton.
Yes. Attorney Rutledge,
Yes.
Reverend Torber,
Yes.
Ms. Bartholomew. Ms. Bartholomew,
He's muted.
Yes.
Dr. Davis,
He's on the phone with Dr. Whitfield. Go ahead.
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar,
Yes.
Mr. Fondell,
Yes.
Dr. Gaines,
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam,
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard,
Yes.
Attorney McGee,
Yes.
Attorney Shorty,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Tarver,
Yes.
Dr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you, members. Now, I have one special request, members, from Dr. Merrick in the Communications Department. They would like for you to activate your video such that your picture can be shown. We see Mrs. Smith's beautiful face. And they want to take a picture, capture the image of the screen. So if you'll do that, just bear with us 1 second. Okay, here we go. All right. Let us know when you guys are done.
Attorney DeMorne, can I take a personal point of privilege real quick?
Absolutely.
You know, with Corona came a lot of myths and misconceptions, and I just wanted to let it be known here that you cannot get the coronavirus through the computer.
Okay.
And so, Brother Bartholomew, you got to Brother Bartholomew, you don't need the mask on when you're talking to us on the phone, but I'm good.
We just need to make sure he's not under quarantine, though.
I just want to go on record.
If so, keep it on.
Thank you, Dr. Whitfield.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
In response to my beloved hip hop doctor now, I am very concerned about my immediate environment, which I'm not at my home. And I want to make sure I don't leave anything. I don't want to pick up anything. So I don't want to pass it on to the internet to anybody on the board as well.
It looks good on you, brother.
Very cautious. But I like to make another comment before we adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Can you do it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the very near future, we have to determine whether or not we're going to open the system back up and students come back on campus. I think we should develop a plan of action to make sure that students and whomever we have on campus will come back safe. And while I'm saying that, we have a nurse department that can handle that. We have our legal department can review the policies that we can implement. And so if we ever open up and we still have to deal with this virus, we'll have a plan in place to assist the people that's coming in and students, man, that's coming to the campus and make sure that they are medically safe to enter this, the grounds at Southern University. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Bartholomew. Duly noted. I know Dr. Belton and staff is already working on that. As a matter of fact, they had significant discussion yesterday about acquiring some technology that will facilitate that, as well as some other matters that they plan to bring forward at a later date. But thank you for the
follow up on Mr. Bartholomew, if you don't mind.
Sure, Mr.
Mr. Bartholomew brought up something that was really good. I know that we have task force that are within the system already, so I'll ask with the support of my colleagues that if we could create a task force that's dealing specifically with the safety of all the campuses, making sure that we come up with a consistent plan. As we know, our campus is unique with only 3 entrances to come in there. I received a call on this past week from a parent asking the same question that he brought up. Are we going to feel safe bringing them back? Are we going to have something set in place? And I know that we will. One of the things I mentioned, and me and Mr. Bartholomew talked about this, was perhaps having somebody as a consultant, like one of our esteemed alums in Mr. Honore, General Honore. If possible, he could serve as consultant to help us to come up with a plan that can create an air of safe environment. So when these students are coming back to our campuses, their parents will know when they come here that they're going to be safe. So that is something that I hope we can look forward to working with. I know he's one of our esteemed alums, and he would bring a great deal of confidence to Jaguar Nation, knowing that he's a part of a plan like that as far as making sure that our students on all of our campuses are safe. So I just wanted to add that note also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fondale. Dr. Belton.
Well, thank you. And I really appreciate all of your suggestions. And you should know that we are working every day to ensure that the environment here on campus is a safe one and proves to be a healthy one for all of our constituents going forth. It reminds me to give you notice of the convening of the Louisiana Health Equity Task Force this afternoon, the first time that they will meet. The chair made reference to the contributions of Senator Cleo Fields in formalizing it, but I think it's appropriate to also acknowledge him for the depth to which he actually helped influence positioning of Southern University in taking the lead on that task force. I also feel compelled to acknowledge Dr. Williams, who continues to help facilitate the work of that committee, and to give you formal notice. You may have already heard as much, but I do think it proper to acknowledge and compliment the individuals who are serving on that task force from Southern University, to include one of our honorable members of the board, Dr. Ronnie Whitfield, one of the co-chairs of the task force, Dr. Sandra Brown, Chancellor Orlando McMeans, and who am I? And Dean Damian Ijigiri. All of them will be working actively on the task force, and their work will begin immediately. So do extend to them your prayers. I think their work is so crucial and critical at this time, and we really look forward to some recommendations that would hopefully mitigate the conditions that currently impact minority communities nationally and statewide. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Belton. Before we entertain the motion of adjournment, is there any other business, any other matters, any other comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Reverend Talbot.
I move for adjournment, please, sir.
All right, it is so ordered. Be well, stay safe. Thank you.
The picture, Des Moines?
Huh?
Did y'all get the picture?
We did get the picture. Thank
Okay,
you
great.
very much. We did.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
All right, Nugget.